Hey there, Blue Table fans. Here with Thomas from Sweden. He's about to go back to Sweden. We're going to miss him. He was here for, how long were you here for?
About 2 months.
About 2 months.
60 days.
Yeah, he was having a good time chilling out with us. Came to lots of Blue Table events. And so, glad you came.
Thank you. I'm blessed. Great time.
Good, good. We're going to just kind of talk and generally throw out some strategy and some ideas. We're going to talk about Necrons today. Thomas plays lots of Necrons. He's got a ridiculously good Necron list. I faced it and been crushed. It was gloriously awful.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah, all right, I accept that, yeah. How do you feel, first question, we're going to do multiple videos here. First question, how do you think that they scaled from 5th edition when they had just gotten the new codex to 6th edition?
Well, I would say that obviously the biggest change is the glass weapons.
Right.
Since always glancing on 6, which was decent before, since you could always put a glance at least to do something. But with the hull points, a unit of warriors suddenly became dangerous even for a land raider.
Yeah.
So 20 warriors, that's gonna kill a land raider.
It's gonna blow a land raider. It's gonna blow a land raider up. How many points is 20 Necron warriors?
I believe they are 13 each, so about 260.
So it's about it's about equivalent points to a land raider. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Right.
Except for the fact that they're more survivable than a land raider now.
And the firepower is like whoosh.
Yeah, you get within that 24-inch range. Well, they have rapid fire weapons too, right? And rapid fire weapons got better in 6th edition.
Yeah, since you can always move and shoot, which was not the case before.
Right. Move and shoot your full distance.
Exactly.
So you can go, you can shoot basically effectively 30 inches.
Yeah.
That's pretty gross.
Before you needed an upgrade for one that you're in Necron Overwatch, Pharaoh, I believe it's called.
Right.
So you got the relentless, but now we don't need it then as much as before. Like the only reason to pick it now would be to be able to assault after using your rapid fire weapons. Then you really want your warriors.
Do you really want warriors in close combat? Not really. No. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, much better too with Snapfire, with Overwatch too. Just let them try and charge you after you shoot them.
That's true.
Because you can take even more moves and stuff.
Exactly. So that's one of the big things, the cross weapons. Nothing else exactly springs to mind.
Right. I would say that the pulse or whatever, we can turn night fight off.
Solar pulse?
Yeah, solar pulse. And here's why I would say that has more effect in this edition than it did before. Is that most missions have night fight in them.
Oh yeah, that's true. So you can negate the night fighting negative for your own side. But I believe it's more useful as a defensive tool in 5th edition, since
you can turn on night fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, because now, you get the car saves, assuming you're at a great distance.
Right.
Before, shots could be lost entirely.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Now with pre-measure, obviously, you don't even have to fire at something. You're more than 36 inches away, and I'm not even going to shoot you. So, I think that was having them brought night fight in, possibility of. It's going to be either your first turn or 4 or 5, 6, 7. You're gonna have to deal with this. I'm glad that they made it into something where it's still pretty good, but it's not as dangerous to some armies.
Right. Yeah. Because a defensive army, if you pop your solo pulse, it could totally ruin their first, possibly second turn. So you could have 2 solo pulses if you wanted to.
Right. That's gross. So, Major League Goss weapons got better.
It's the biggest thing. Although since they got disadvantaged from the Goss weapons, their other anti-weaponry for tanks, say anti-tank weaponry, they got less useful or not less useful, but in comparison to the Goss weapons. Since now the Goss weapon got this huge boost. So in comparison to that, say the Scarab Swarms for instance, which were kind of the big thing for Necrons to destroy vehicles before, they're not as necessary now.
Right.
Because you kind of don't need them. You have the Ghost weapons instead. So.
Yeah. Well, in a minor way, the Eldritch Lands, their Strength 8 AP2. It got a tiny bit better because AP2 now causes a +1 on your penetration roll, but
yeah, that's true.
or not penetration roll, but damage roll.
Although the damage table of the tanks
Right.
got one harder for each thing, basically.
Right.
So AP2 is basically the same, AP1 also the same.
Right. That's true. Yeah, you're a lot more likely to get shaken now. Stunned is worse though. Stunned is worse than it used to be.
Oh, of course so.
If you have passengers, if you're a transport, they can't shoot at all. So even if they get out, they can't shoot.
Right.
So that is better. And shaken also makes it so. Shaken got worse a little bit because you can snap fire still. Your vehicles can still snap fire, so they can still hit on a 6. That's nice. We got some flyers too, right?
Yeah, I haven't played with them though, since they got really sweet just before I went on this trip.
Right. Right.
So I'll be building some of those when I get back.
They're pretty beefy, man. I saw some the other day here in the studio, and they're like these thick guys, thick vehicles. It's pretty cool. Well, let's see. There was one other thing that I was going to mention. Oh yeah, you guys got they fact it after they brought out the rule book, but which we all thought was kind of funny. But they made the command barges chariots.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty nice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oof. I've been using those heavily during my battles or tournaments as well here in the States, and they've been performing very well. Since they can move them well, you can shoot your weapons, and then you can assault. Say, have your mind checking scarabs.
Yeah, you can play
yeah, more sides ignore armor saves, right?
Yeah, basically AP1. So.
Yeah, that got better too. And that's one thing you should look at if you're playing an older codex. Look at some of the stuff. Like I was talking to my friend the other day about Eldar. There's a couple of in the Eldar codex, a couple of weapons that ignore armor saves. I think Prince Uriel, his ignores armor saves. Eldrad ignores armor saves. The Exarch for Wailing Banshees ignores armor saves. So it's these, you gotta find these like little subtle weaponry hidden away in the codex there that actually aren't power weapons. They're not AP3. They're not AP3 as all power weapons are now. They actually ignore armor saves, which is a total bonus.
Absolutely. Although you don't get a AP2 or 1 to improve your damage roll on tanks though.
Right.
But yeah, the AP2 is very important, or remove armor saves.
Extremely.
Yeah, so that's one of the big things, like we were talking about before, the Eldritch Lances. Since they got AP2 now, which is very important since power weapons no longer hurt Terminators or anyone else with a 2-up armor save. So you need that AP2.
And everybody is trying to use those the armor too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Terminators, I believe, are going to be a big thing in 6th edition. More people are going to bring them.
I like them.
They're going to be way more survivable.
Paladins, man. Paladins are huge.
Oh yeah. An entire unit of characters. Oh, look at Sarah. Take this.
different conversation for another time. We're going to stop and start. We're going to do a different talking point. Okay. So, what do you think let's start with weaknesses. What do you think the weaknesses of the Necron Codex are? How do you think an opponent can exploit those weaknesses? Well, what are they first, I guess?
Yes. I would say that their firepower is very powerful, but it's limited to 24-inch range, most of the stuff.
Right.
So assuming you can stay away and have longer range weapons, you're going to eliminate the weapons. For example, I went up against Dave, who is frequently playing in the battle boards.
Right.
And he used a Dark Eldar combo with many of the Dark Eldar flyers. They are so fast, they have the Dark Lances, of course, the 36-inch range, and as well reduce my range by 6. So I shoot 18, he shoots 38, 36, sorry, and it's of course way faster than me. So there's no way I can just catch him. He's just gonna move around, shoot me, I can do nothing about it.
Right.
So yeah, that's if you can outrange the Necrons, that's one of the big things. And of course, in close combat, they don't have much. So if you are able to bring, well, basically any hard close combat units, Terminators, Gene Stealers, Berserkers for Chaos, anything of that sort with many attacks, you're gonna just say kill 5 Necrons, the rest of them are gonna flee.
Right.
And catch them and destroy an entire squad.
Right, yeah.
So close combat.
Close combat's still the weakness.
I would say so, although yes, it depends on how you build your Necrons. They could be strong in close combat, should you bring enough number of raids, or large programs. It's kind of slow though, but it's survive forever.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. One of the big things they don't have, they cannot get the resurrection protocols from falling back. The guys, when you fall back, you're not swept, and the rest of the unit falls back. Those guys that died in combat stay back. So that's pretty brutal. Though on the other hand, in 6th edition, there's no longer, if you fall back, you get to roll to come back, even if somebody's standing right next to you, enemy standing right next to you. That's huge. That means that sweeping advances is much more important. Having some sort of having somebody with high initiative making those charges to get rid of those units if you can beat them in combat is really super important.
Absolutely. And that's actually a good point for counter battle balancing Terminators.
Right.
Since they're now suddenly almost unkillable if you don't have any AP2, AP1. But you cannot do sweeping events.
They cannot do sweeping events. In fact, even if there's a single Terminator model in the unit, the whole unit can't sweep in advance, or vice versa if you have a character attached to the Terminators that's a regular, artificer or something else, he can't sweep in advance. Yeah, and that's a good different subject, a really different video. That's a good way to beat a Paladin list. Bring something that's high initiative or resilient enough that you are gonna survive close combat with them, and then shoot them as they come in, shoot them, and then shoot them as they charge you, and then lose the combat and run away and shoot them some more. All right, so close combat. You think okay? What would you do against like a mostly jump pack army, something like Blood Angels, let's say, who had a bunch of assault troops and stuff? How would you deal with them exploiting the weakness of you being weak in close combat? Because Blood Angels can bring lots of very fast, very tough, very good close combat units.
Are we assuming I know that I'm going to go up against those?
Let's play that. Let's play that. Let's assume that, and this will kind of segue into the strengths of the Necron codex.
Yes. So one thing I believe, which is very important for Necrons, are the cryptics, since they are so.
They're basically like Wolfguard. They can attach to whomever they're.
That's the case, and also since they can choose kind of different options. So you can build them for what you need to do.
Right.
So against a Jump Infantry army, I need to include a bunch of them with, I believe it's called Seismic Crucible or so.
Okay.
So when you hit a unit, they move next turn as if in difficult terrain. Then also attach called shard, Catan shards. They're right wall skill, which means that any difficult terrain becomes dangerous. So you have 4 units with 4 different scripts. You hit 4 different squads. All of them next turn are going to do different dangerous tests. Everyone.
That's really cool. You know what's interesting to me about that? It makes a lot more sense that they gave the shards, the stand shards, those abilities, which seem so nasty in 5th edition. Like, oh my goodness, you can make all this stuff, dangerous terrain and difficult terrain. That's so awful, And now it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense because they've scaled back how dangerous terrain is. Because you get to make your armor saves against it now, which is huge. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not going to lose models, but you're not going to lose models as much as you were.
That's very true.
It made deep striking a lot easier too.
Yeah. All of us is no longer the fear of dying as we come down.
Yeah, not nearly as much. I mean, you'd still mishap, but even the mishap table is a little bit kinder.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's only on a 1 are you destroyed now.
Exactly. So half the chance of dying.
Okay. So you would take stuff to kind of slow them down and then just try and shoot them to pieces?
Yes.
Because there's a fearsome amount of firepower in
Yeah, I myself like to test my weapons more than the cost on Immortals.
Right.
Since then they have the full firepower at a maximum range, as opposed to, I believe it's called gas flares on the Immortals, which are, of course, they are better when you go within 12, but then you got like one shot.
You get one shot.
Yeah, because if you don't kill the assault squad next turn, you're in trouble.
Right. Yeah. I thought I had something. I don't remember what it is right now. Oh yeah, your bike units that have the blast.
Right. Yes, of course.
We got to talk about those. Those things are gross.
Two blades. Yeah, I like to keep them cheap, so just upgrade them with the blast weapon particle beamers, I believe. So it's a strength 6 blast, 24 inch range. So for just 150 points for 5 of them.
Yeah, and you get 1 blast per group. That's I gotta tell you that is really gross. It's really gross to come off. That's a ton of blasts at high enough strength that it's an infantry killer. You know, if you're playing against somebody who's using all vehicles, that thing's gonna tend to bounce off. But it really doesn't matter when you have 40 warriors on the table there too. You know,
almost gas instead.
Right.
So yeah, those have worked very well for me, the twin blades. Because like you say, say you manage 2 of them to get it off, 3 of them hit, that's going to be like 15 hits, 12 wounds. I don't care if you have a 3 apartment save, you're going to lose a bunch of hits.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Well, in the way I roll our power on saves, I lose all of them.
Yep, that's usually the case. Yeah, that was terrible for our game for the tournament.
Yeah.
But that didn't help.
No, it didn't help. It doesn't matter. It was a good time. I was gonna say I hadn't. When I've watched you play and I played against you, you don't use any ghost arcs.
No.
Yeah.
Although the biggest reason as to why I don't is because they couldn't bring them.
Oh, okay. All right.
They wouldn't fit in my case.
So would you still use them even though 6th edition has definitely made vehicles less? Well, I would argue that right now people tend to think they're less useful, and I have to agree with that. But I also think it kind of is on a vehicle per vehicle basis. And I play Space Marines, and I have a bunch of nice painted rhinos and razorbacks that are going to sit on the shelf and gather dust. Unfortunately.
Well, I wouldn't bring them even if I could, to be honest. That's only because they're kind of expensive for what they do. And they can only transport warriors. And why would I want to transport warriors? I can just, since now I can move them and shoot full range.
Right.
So there's no longer important to be able to move and then shoot.
Are they open top?
Yeah, they are.
So you could shoot off the top.
Yes.
Kind of akin to what the Dark Eldar do. But not as, I mean, when at least the new Dark Eldar meta that I'm facing off against often is 10 Dark Eldar warriors in a raider with night shields and the racks, whatever the splinter racks. The splinter racks. They give them basically. So yeah, I mean it's good. It's open top, and you can be in your vehicle. The vehicle can move 6 inches, and they get to shoot, and then they get to reroll the hit. That's pretty gross.
Yeah. But again, for 115 points, how many warriors can I bring?
Right.
I could bring 10 warriors instead.
Right. Do Ghost Arcs have 4 hull points, don't they?
Yes, so they are kind of survivable. but they are open tops. So when you do manage to penetrate them, which will be hard, because they are 13 with the shields.
13 with the shields. Yeah, that's a really resilient vehicle.
Yeah.
It really is.
But again, if you do manage to penetrate, which will probably be like last cannon or something high strength,
right?
AP. So +1 for the open top, +1 to maybe +2 for the one.
Right.
So high chance first penetration is going to work.
Yeah. When you face off against you're in an open top vehicle and you get hit by an AP1 vehicle, AP1 weapon, you're most likely going to explode. I mean, it's like
66%.
Yeah.
2 turns.
Wait, give me 190 minutes.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah, and for transports, I would prefer the outside, I believe it's called.
Oh, right.
The flyer. since then, suddenly you have a very fast transport.
Is it a flyer now? You change it?
Yeah, it's a flyer.
Oh, wow, cool.
And they had changed the rules for the transport boom or whatever it's called, the way that they do transport. So they can move through 6 inches and then it is more.
Gross. That's really gross.
So the leech guards are very, very slow for Necrons. But they are their hard hitters or the unit that will last you the longest. So you go in through 6 inches, deploy, boom, you're in that next line, assuming the flyer get in.
Right, and so then they're going to try and concentrate on that, allowing the rest of your army to be not really shot at for a turn, probably.
And once you have done it, to even further increase the survivability of the leech guards, to include 2 of the cryptics with the chronometrons. It gives you 2 rerolls per phase. So they shoot at you, fail 2 saves, you reroll those. They assault you, you lose 2 guys, you roll the reanimation protocols in that phase. So it's going to be hard to remove that unit.
Yeah, jeez. Well, you could take a Lord in there too and give them the resurrection orb space, getting back up on 4.
Yeah, I was playing it against Dave for the tournaments. That was the one unit that performed the best for me. I managed to destroy one of its witch units. They assaulted me, it was like 1 guy maybe. And even though his list was built to be very strong and certainly build off each other, so we had many of the what's it called, psychic powers. So my unit had to reroll successful saves. He could reroll 2 wounds against me. So I took a lot of wounds, but I was lucky to save them. Since 3 up, I have to reroll, but then I have resurrection protocols. So
that's cool.
With on a 4 up, which I could reroll. So.
There you go. Nice. Yeah. So here's a question for you as a potential weakness, since that's what we're supposed to be talking about. No, I knew this was going to. Sean, when he told me, hey, I want you to do this, you know, and have a bunch of these videos that I can just put up and have tactics and, you know, give some people some tactical advice on different codexes and different, you know, 6th edition in general and playing, you know, so that we could keep people interested in that kind of thing. He wanted me to do, you know, we're going to do these segments that we're going to talk about specific things and then do a separate segment or whatever. But I knew, being who I am and being people that I hang out with and talk with, that we're going to get distracted. And hopefully this was something that you guys, at the very least, you know, you might enjoy watching, or you might just put on in the background so you can hear my voice, because maybe I have that kind of voice that you want to listen to. I have no idea if that's true or not. But a potential weakness would be you don't have any psychic powers. And you don't really have any way to stop them either.
No, well, I guess the tomb. It's a tomb spider. Right?
Tomb spider. Okay.
So they have an upgrade called. Oh no, I can't remember the name of the upgrade.
Some upgrade.
Anyway, if you had that on your tomb spider, anyone within 6 inches, if they target that unit, on a 4 up, it's normal.
On a 4 better. Wow, that's pretty good. So basically, it's like a 6-inch version of the Space Wolf sword. Right, which they haven't fixed yet, I think. I still don't think they've changed that. I think
so that's still a 4 up anywhere on the table?
Yeah, and if you have Najal, it's, well no, at 24 inches.
Oh, 24.
It's 24 inches, yeah.
Almost entire table.
Right, and Najal is 3 or better. So it's like, yeah. One of the, as another tangent, when 6th edition first came out, Dave and I were talking about it because they can be allies of convenience, Eldar and Space Wolves together. And so the Eldar would be like, roll your test on 3 dice. And Space Wolves would be like, oh, you passed your test, let me shut that down.
Yeah, this kind of destroyed armies built on like powers.
Right. It would be, yeah, no, I think that there definitely are. I've already seen some nasty lists like the Eldar Dark Eldar combination. Curse you, GW, for making them brothers in arms. Curse you.
Yeah, that's weird. Dark Eldar.
You know what? Why aren't you brothers in arms with Space Marines? It's clear. I mean, clearly it's got to be the same thing.
To me, at least.
Fluff. 20 years of fluff. What is that? I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this in the garbage. This is me pouring 20 years of fluff in the garbage. I'm GW.
That was strange.
It makes the game more interesting. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't add something to the game. And I don't necessarily have a huge problem with them reinterpreting some stuff. I do actually like the change they made. Well, I mean, you played Necrons before the new codex?
No, actually no.
No, you didn't. Okay. But you knew about them, obviously.
Yes.
Right. What do you think of the fluff change? You know what? Hold on. We're gonna start a new video. Okay. So a quick mention of the fluff change. I'm kind of a little bit of a fluff buff. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that again. Yeah, never mind. So the older codex, and now I don't know, I don't know if that was their first codex or not, but the codex that,
I think so.
yeah, it was like a third edition codex or whatever. In that, they were all robots, steel automatons that were ruled over by the Satan. And the Satan, you know, had control of them or whatever. And I didn't read too much into it, but I don't think that they have what they have now, which was they were this race that got controlled by the Satan, and then, you know, I feel like somewhere in there they were like maybe created by the Satan, the older one. Somebody can tell me I'm wrong on that. But now it's a total switch to that they were around 60 million years ago, and they were fighting against the old ones with the Satan, and their natural enemies are the Eldar, which is kind of ironic that their natural enemies are the best psychers in the universe, and they don't really have better anti-psychic powers than that.
True.
The other thing that was very interesting to me about that is that they don't have, because they don't have any psychers, they can't travel through the warp.
No, that's true.
Which is kind of cool, I guess, because they don't make the Chaos Gods more powerful at all by being around.
Right. Yeah. Well, do you have sort of a technology to move through other dimensions?
Right. They have and some access to the gate, the portal or the webways.
Yes.
Right. Which was another interesting revelation. The webways were not created by the Eldar. I don't know if that's part of the old fluff or not, but I'm sure you'll see that in the new Eldar Codex whenever that shows up. Maybe, possibly never. I was counting it off, by the way. I was counting it off, and it seems like to me, and somebody can tell me that I'm wrong with rumors, and I would love to hear it, but November is supposed to be Chaos Space Marines. Next year, some point, is supposed to be early. It's supposed to be Dark Angels, because Dark Angels were supposed to come out this year, but because of 6th edition, they only brought one codex out. But there's already a whole bunch of maybe fake rules floating around the internet about Dark Angels with a new plasma tank. Anyway, yeah, you've got it.
You never know. So.
It could be cool. I mean, it has a plasma turret like apparently a plasma turret like the Executioner, and it's a Predator. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, so Dark Angels early next year, and then Sisters of Battle. You know, they got a White Dwarf Codex, and they got pushed back because the models apparently weren't ready. You know, hopefully I'm not leaning out of the camera's view here, so I'm going to lean more in. And then, let's see, what else? I've heard the Tower kind of somewhere on the table there sooner rather than later. And so that's 4 codexes. That means that Eldar's probably still a couple of years out.
Although, when I was browsing through Warseer, which is of course one of the biggest rumored websites,
right?
They had this huge list of those things are going to be released soon. This is the list of things from The Hobbit, since that's going to be released. You know, it's going to be
right
at about the same time as the movie. And in that list is also so this was Eldar actually. A whole lot of the units were Eldar. Although
really?
It didn't say a date or anything. Although since it's on the list, it can't be too far away.
Well, I hope not, because even though they got a buff, psychically speaking, in this, and they really did, nobody, in 6th edition, nobody would bring them if they couldn't be Battle Brothers with Dark Eldar, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest reason to bring them. Should you want to be able to
Right.
compete their army, you
Right.
want them to combo with the dark elf.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, they got the only thing they had really left was their vehicles being pretty good and their ability to, hey, I'm going to go 24 in the movement phase with my skimmer, and then another 12 with my star engines or something like some combo like that, and basically just try and deny an objective over here on the other side of the map that I wasn't near, and that my vehicle's very resilient. And now you can't do that because the vehicle doesn't deny, and you can only go a maximum 6 inches before you get your guys out. So now that whole idea is gone. And then in addition, their best thing is a vehicle, which vehicles now die on glancing hits. So they're extremely expensive transports now are not worth anything. Well, not only that, but I mean, if you go flat out, then the next turn you get out, you can't charge.
But oh yeah, you can never go out to assault.
Yeah.
If you're an assault vehicle. Oh yeah.
Which that really hurt all Space Marines, and it really hurt Eldar. It didn't. It really helped Dark Eldar and Orcs.
Yeah, since they still can do it.
Well, and their vehicles are cheap enough that it's still worth doing.
Yes, yeah, because in comparison to the rest of the armies, the last level they didn't have it. So now there's 2 armies, we can do it. No one else.
Yeah, it makes me sad because they also have ridiculous numbers of miniatures.
Yes.
Okay, back on. Go ahead.
To keep on for the assault through the river, since you now have a huge number of models for orcs,
Right.
it's kind of hard to actually utilize a large number of models, because it's easier to say flank you since you only go 3 inches
Right.
for your pioneer moves. So it's kind of easy. So assault just keep 5 of the orcs fighting against your entire squad.
Right.
So
that
bigger
is good.
models or bigger units got weaker in that sense.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. It's pretty gross still when you get charged by one of them and they have 4 attacks apiece. It's definitely the same thing of I'm gonna do 50 wounds to you. I don't really care what your armor save is. You're still gonna die. Yeah. All right, let me start and stop and talk about back on topic.